What is going on, guys? It's Stab. Today we're back with Season 3 of the Stab League. Nice in action. Returning to the screen, we got the draft analysis. So it's actually been a very, very long time since I've done a draft analysis, probably about 2 years. And we're going to roll with it because that's what we do, and hopefully it's good. Anyway, before we get into what actually happened in the draft, I'm just going to walk you guys back to, what was it, December? And the Stab League tournament, and to decide the draft positions, of course, and kind of what I was thinking in the draft, and what led up to what I chose and the plan I had, and if I got sniped, and yeah. So as I said, we had the draft placement tournament in December, and your boy finished in 5th place, which wasn't too good, but it was still, in the top 5 in selections. At that point, we had 12 teams, so we were still in the top half, and I was pretty confident that I could get the position that I wanted. Danzo won. I'm sure you guys are well aware of the Thunder Nido Queen and the excitement that brought. But yeah, he chose first overall. Bill, who finished second the tournament, finished third. Finished second the tournament, chose to pick second. Wow. Balfrey finished third in the tournament. Nice job for Balfrey there. He picked third. Lux picked number 4, and I think Easy was number 5. So then it was my turn to choose, so I must have been 6th. Anyway, nobody saw the advantage of taking the other wheel. So the first pick overall is clearly the wheel, and so is the 12th pick. So that's what I chose. Now there were several benefits of getting the 12th pick. Obviously, I didn't want to be in the middle of the draft because even though I could get a high regular mon pick, I just got the 1 pick, so that wasn't very advantageous. But choosing to take last and 12th in the order came with several advantages. And number 1, because the Stab League has a separate mega round in the first round, I get to choose the first mega because that's in reversed order, the regular order. And then I also get the first pick in the silver tier Ubers round. And if you guys didn't know, the Stab League allowed several Ubers. Well, more than several. Almost all of the Ubers tier was allowed this season. We've broken into 2 tiers, the gold and the silver tier. Gold is more for the high-powered megas, not megas. Well, there are some megas in there, but high-powered mons such as Marshadow, Mega Lucario, Yveltal, things that you see in Ubers a lot. And then the silver tier, which is more of the pseudo Ubers that aren't as great. Things like Tapu Lele, Magirna, Mega Metagross, just things that are technically Uber but aren't quite strong as the others. But anyway, so we had our 12th pick and a draft plan with my boy Andrew. Andrew's a really good draft planner to have. He knows my strengths really well, and other than the difference between Andrew and the Flying Bird, who is another good friend of mine that helped me quite a bit here, was that Andrew tries to play to my strengths. Bird, sometimes he looks for value where there's not value, and then he doesn't do a good job of fitting teams to the actual person. Most of the time, it's what he wants to draft or what he's good at using. So nice change of pace there. I really only had about 3 plans that I was looking at going into the draft, even before I chose my pick. So I got to backtrack a little bit further. 3 really options that I wanted to do. Number 1 was a sticky web speed control based team around Mega Lopunny and Kyurem White. So that was one option. And then the other option was a core of Mega Metagross, Rayquaza, and something else. I don't remember what the third one was, but I thought that Rayquaza and Mega Metagross paired very well together. So that was one I was looking at. And then what I actually decided on was trying to get a core of Mega Mewtwo X and Magirna, which before we get into the little picks here, I actually did get just because of how it worked out. I chose Mega Mewtwo X in the Mega Round, and then because I had first pick in the Silver tier Pokemon for Ubers, I could take what I wanted there. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into what actually happened in the draft. So Draft began. It was a slow draft this season just because we had a lot more teams and a lot more variance in schedules. So instead of trying to get everyone together, we went with a slow draft. So I actually started the draft a day early because a lot of people couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. I was really excited. Plopped down Mega Mewtwo X. Basically, the draft, the backstory behind that is I asked my boy Aberforth, who is an Uber's certified god, what he thought was the best Pokemon available as far as we could take. And he's like, hands down, Mega Mewtwo X is the greatest thing to ever happen to draft format. Really love this mon a lot. It's typing. I'm not going to talk too much about the moves and shit, just kind of the role on the team, because that's what I feel that a draft analysis should have instead of just, it gets Drain Punch, it gets Ice Beam, it gets Shadow Ball. It actually does get all of those. But things I like about Mega Mewtwo X, it's really fast. It has base 130 speed, so that actually outspeeds, and an adamant nature, I believe that outspeeds base 113s and below, which is really nice because not only do you catch that 1 in 10 tier that everybody's hyping up and well, not hyping up, but fixated on when planning, and then the tiers around that too, so the 111s and the 112s that just outspeed that 110. So speed's really nice. Mega Mewtwo X is also one of the only Pokemon other than Arceus that has over 100 base stats in almost every stat. It's got 100 base defenses, which we all know Mew and Celebi and mods like that. 100 base defense is really good. So really like that. It does make my team really weak starting off to flying. Ghost and Dark, so we gotta watch out for that. The other thing is Mewtwo really baits Scarfers, so we gotta be careful of a potential of it doesn't get priorities. What I'm trying to get, so we need something to check Scarfers, and we need something to check its three big weaknesses, which actually works out really well because in round two, several good megas went in round one. Mega Lucario, um, the Mega Blaziken, Mega Blaziken. Yeah, so those were some of the better mega tier picks. Anyway, we got to the gold tier, so I'm actually skipped in the gold tier. I wasn't too worried because I already got Mega Mewtwo X, so just had to wait a long time, a very very long time. One guy we couldn't find, so took a while to get back around to me. But once the gold tier was done, Marshadow was the first pick in the gold tier. I take that back. Marshadow was not. Mewtwo, regular Mewtwo was. But yeah. So finally got back to me. Silver tier, where you take Magearna. Magearna was on the team last season. Oh yeah, the nicknames. I forgot about the nicknames. Anyway, going back, the nickname for Mega Mewtwo X this season is Prometheus. If you've ever seen that movie, it's kind of weird. It's about the origin of the human species, kind of. I'd have learned that from a YouTube video, but but there's one scene in there where the human asked the god guy why they were created, what they wanted basically, and he looked him dead in the eye, said nothing, and then broke his neck. And Mega Man 2X fucking destroys the entire game. So I thought it pretty fitting to label him Prometheus. Round two, as I said, Magearna. Magearna actually checks Mega Man 2X's weaknesses really well. It resists dark, it is neutral to ghost, and it resists flying as well. So that was nice. And then on the converse, maybe to X helps out with steel types, beats him down offensively, and then has the psychic typing to check the poison types as well that aim for Mercurina. Fire kind of neutral, but most fire types don't appreciate just general stab from Mewtwo. So basically, Magearna defensively checks Mewtwo's weaknesses, and Mewtwo offensively checks Magearna's weaknesses. They pair really nice together. Again, no priority, but lots of cool setup moves for Magearna. Magearna can just do a lot of different roles. It can be offensive, it can be more of a defensive, it can be setup. Really try to go for versatility in this draft overall, as you'll see. And yeah, so biggest boons were it checked Mega Mewtwo X's weaknesses pretty well, and then it just was a powerful mon. It's actually not my Z user this season because how the Z moves are working is that you got one Z user if you chose an Uber, and you got two Z users if you chose just a regular non-Uber mon for your Z moves. Support moves are also allowed this season, so you'll see what I chose for that in just a second. McGurna, we're rolling with Get Murked. Shout out to both Mr. Murkrow and Matty Brawlick. So he is returning. I'm really happy to have McGurna back. So after that happened, we had to go through the entire silver tier. Xerneas was actually silver because we banned Geomancy on that. So that was probably one of the bigger picks. Not going to really say anything else other than Kyogre was a silver Uber, which kind of is not a good choice on my part. My bad. But finally, we got through the silver tier and we went on to what is technically round 3, but is also the first round where you could draft a regular Pokemon. So, contrary to last season, Danza led that round off and he actually chose Celesteela first overall. Sorry if I'm spoiling any drafts, but that's kind of a known thing. You've already seen Dan's draft analysis most likely at this point, so his is already out. So I don't feel as bad about that. But yeah, Celesteela went from round 10 last season to first pick overall this season. I don't know if there was any really surprises. In my draft plan, the dragon that I had chosen to go with Magirta and Mega Mewtwo was Salamence. I like Salamence a lot. It gave me some defog. It gave me, another setup threat, an intimidate option, and I just had a really nice move pool and multiple roles that it could do. Unfortunately, about 4 or 5 picks before me, it got sniped. I don't know at first if I agreed with it going this high, but realistically, round 1 was actually round 3, so I guess it made sense. And then Salamence is a devastating Z user. That would have been one of my Z users if I had gotten an opportunity to take it. Another thing to mention in round 1 was that a lot of electric types were going. Zapdos, Tapu Koko, anything else? I think Xurkitree didn't go then, but I was really afraid that my electric type was going to get sniped, and thankfully it did not. The Pokemon I decided to go with for my round 1 pick was actually another returning mod in Thunderous Eye. Thunderous Eye gave me a lot of good things. It gave me a nice base 1 11 speed tier, so again, outpacing that 110. Really fast team, and then a really drop off on Magirna. So I like in my speed distribution right now. Gives me, that strong electric stab. Not many things resist or are immune to it. Gives me momentum in terms of Volt Switch and U-turn. That's a boon when you can find an electric type that has both of those, so that you're not walled, so to speak, by ground types. So that's a good thing. Also has a nice setup options, pretty decent support pool, and then the biggest reason I drafted this was not only for the ground immunity to help out Magirna, but also for the fact that it does get Defiant, and really, as you're going to see later in the draft, I do have some hazard options that I picked up, and I needed a Pokemon that would deter opposing defog, and Thundurus does that really well but Thundurus does that really well because a lot of the defoggers, at least the ones that were taken so far, were flying, and clearly electric is super effective against flying. So yeah, nice check to not only opposing defoggers in general, but also an ability to punish them with their defog and defiant. For my wheel pick, this was kind of a stretch. At first, in my initial draft plan, it was a stretch because if Salamence had been there, I would have taken Salamence here. But instead, I ended up with Scolipede, which is another returning mod for the Sacred Fire this season. Did a really nice job last season in more of a baton pass speed role to Mega Heracross, if you guys remember. Reason I wanted to draft it again is because Scolipede can do so much more than baton pass, and I really wanted a team this season that could showcase more of what it could do. If you guys have been watching Jolt in the watched because the season's over, but watched Jolt in the GBAD League. He used Scolipede really well. He showed me a lot more potential it had than the classic speed passing mod. So hopefully we're able to exploit it this season. Has a really nice speed tier, 112. Gives me some hazard options in spikes and toxic spikes. Of course, we had the speed boost to take advantage of again if we need to do that. We did make it our Z user this season. Now, it becomes a much better breaker / cleaner offensive mod when it has Z moves. So very capable Z user. It does have a decent coverage, but the coverage is more of what it needs to break its checks. So, was really happy with that. Thought that if I let it go the next round, it definitely would have been taken. So, really happy to have Scolipede. Nicknames for Scolipede and Thunders. Thunders, we got the Flying Bird because we got a shout out to our boy who's no longer with us. Rip the Flying Bird. And then Scolipede, we got Hi Mama, the Mama Jolt token shout out here. So hopefully we can put in work and maybe against Jolt himself. So we did our pick and it went back to Travis and then it went back around. So we had to wait a long time. Oh yeah, the biggest thing to mention between Scolipede and the next pick is that Trevor and Jolt got added late to the draft, so they caught up. They picked, like, I think they each picked 5 picks in a row, and there was still a lot of good things left. Like, I think Jolt got Zygarde, and Trev was able to get a Sand Core with Excadrill. So there was a lot of good options, even though they did arrive late. Yeah, so they picked, lots of people picked, and we finally got back to what is essentially round number 5. In round 5, I was going to get my replacement Dragon type. There was a couple things I was looking at. I was looking at regular Kyurem. I was looking at, regular Kyurem. I was looking at Haxorus. And what I finally decided on, and I don't know how these things were still here, but actually in round 5, both Latios were still on the table. And now I know Latias and Latios are not usually round 2 picks, round 1. I would never take them that high, and I don't think they deserve to be taken that high. But when they fall to round number 5, you got to jump on that. The biggest things that I liked about Latias over Latios, because I did have at that point the option to take either one, is that I liked Latias's role as more of a bulky support mon on the team. It has a nice ground immunity. It has 110 speed. Has a relatively decent typing. It's a dragon type that isn't quad weak to ice like Salaman's would have been. Has defog. That was the thing. I had to replace the Salaman's defog, so we got Latias. Another thing Latias had that I really wanted for the team, because we have 2 threatening win cons in Mega Mewtwo X and Magearna, is I wanted the ability to bring them back in games if I needed to. So we do have the option with Healing Wish there. Like I said, it has a more defensive role than Latios. But it still has capable offenses, so we can attack with it as well. Has setup via Calm Mind, has reliable recovery, pretty much for what it needs to do and what it needs to accomplish on the team as I've structured it. Latias was the best option. That is also our Z user, because it has, that extra oomph that it doesn't get that Latios has because of the attack difference, but it also has some decent support. Z moves that I can use as well. So really happy with Latios. If you guys have been watching me for a long time, I actually had it in season 1 of the NPL. So kind of a shout out. This is gonna be Lady Rebecca. So far 2 Australians on the team, where 2 Australians and Mega Mewtwo X the God. So looking pretty indestructible already. So after I picked Latios, went back around. I don't think you guys know that well, you guys obviously know because Trevor and Joel got added, but I slipped from 12 to 14, which at this point I don't really care about, because at this point I had drafted everything that I thought was possible for me to get sniped. There was 2 or 3 other mons that, I thought other people might take before it got back to me, and I was able to grab those on the wheel. But at this point, I'm pretty safe where 12 to 14 drop doesn't make a whole lot of difference as far as my plan goes. So drafted some more mons, waited a long time, finally got back to me, and this is where I was going to get my fire type and my water type. My grass type was going to be a lower tier thing, so I didn't care too much about that at this point in the draft. It was very important that I took things when I did because, well, I'll explain them in their own segment. But basically, I heard Travis talking in the draft chat. This is why you never talk about your picks in the actual chat, because Travis is like, "I'm gonna get my Intimidate mod. I think that's a good plan." And I'm looking at the board. I'm looking at the table. I'm looking at what I've done to draft, and I'm like, "Hey, Arcanine's on my draft plan. I better take that now, so Travis doesn't try to make that his Intimidate mod." So in round 6, we got Arcanine, another returner to the Sacred Fire. But Arcanine is probably the greatest fire type to ever exist in draft format. It just has so many cool things. Has nice priority, has, 3 great abilities, has, that speed. 95 is not slow, and it fits really well on the other speed tiers I have. And then it has good bulk in both defenses, and it has a decent variety of coverage you can use. You can use it offensively, you can use it defensively. It does pair as my first Intimidate user, so you'll see what I got in just a second here. But did get Arcanine. Daddy Dingo has rejoined the squad, so hopefully we can continue to use Arcanine well. Arcanine is a mod that I have a lot of experience with, so really excited to use that again. And then we did get. I think I screwed up. I think Arcanine was supposed to be on the on the wheel. Yes, my bad though. So the wheel was Latias and Arcanine. Did snipe Travis of a potential Arcanine, which was cool. But then had to wait a long time, and this was the very crucial point in the draft for a couple reasons. Number one, Arcanine, gave me the first of my Intimidate users. The second of my Intimidate users you'll see in a second here, but basically Arcanine, first Intimidate user, fire type, really good. I was gonna get my bulky water, and my bulky water is a mod that I haven't used very much before, but hopefully it made it back to me, and that's Vaporeon. Basically, with Vaporeon, there was 2 things I was worried about. There hadn't been a lot of bulky waters taken just yet. Actually, I think Suicune and Manaphy had gone. Suicune, Manaphy, and Azumarill had already gone. So there's 3 solid bulky waters already. So this was kind of the round that I was very terrified that I'd be sniped by either Danza. Danza loves Vaporeon. He uses that thing all the time. And then Lux. When I was checking out Lux for recruiting purposes in the Stab League, he used Vaporeon a lot. He loved it. And so those were the 2 that I thought were most likely to take Vaporeon. Wasn't worried about Bill. Bill already had his. But yeah, um, Danza actually was going with the Rain Core. Vaporeon is kind of cool, but it doesn't really fit well on Rain Cores anymore. So he was no longer a threat. Lux thankfully did not take Vaporeon. I wasn't really worried about anybody else other than those 2 taking it, and it did make it back to me. So Vaporeon, we got H2. Ooh, I did a bad impression of Maddie Brolic there, but yeah. So Maddie Brolic, the greatest American draft league player of all time. We got his spirit animal on the team, so hopefully that bodes well to some success. A couple of big things about Vaporeon. I liked the ability to have another utility baton passer. I liked the fact there was a guaranteed water immunity. There is a Kyogre roaming around and several other big threats like Manaphy, so it's nice to have that. Potential Heal Bell user. Phaser to work well with my potential hazard stack options. Wish support. Wish support was big. That's another way to heal up my big hitters. And yeah, those were some of the greatest things about Vaporeon. Vaporeon is really bulky in both stats as well, and has decent special attack. I don't think I'll ever use it offensively, but it does. It's a wall that when the wall attacks and tries to get burns and stuff, it does hit decently hard. So really happy with Vaporeon. And then I was able to secure my Krookodile. Killer Croc has joined the team. Haven't really used Krookodile. Oh, I take that back. Yes, I have. I have used Krookodile before, both in last season's draft placement tournament and in the GBL. Really like that thing. Very versatile. Again, has a couple great abilities. Intimidate being one and Moxie being the other. So it can be used both offensively and defensively in that regard. It has decent coverage for its typing. Usually Rock and ground and dark, they usually get similar um, similar moves as far as move pool distribution. But thankfully, it has knockoff, it has pursuit. I really needed a trapper, and I liked that I could trap physical threats pretty easily to help out Mewtwo, both with the Intimidate and the Pursuit option as well. Has a pretty decent speed tier in 92. Um, and then has some setup options and some defensive utility as well. It actually has stealth rocks, so that was the biggest thing, was to make sure I got a mod that had stealth rocks, because I went from having 3 last season to just picking up my first one now. So luckily I did get that, and we were pretty much set in that regard. Set back around, wheel is turning, wheel is spinning. At this point, the only Pokemon that I have left to get, there's two that could potentially. There's one that I don't think is going to go, and there's one that could potentially be sniped. So on the final wheel, needed to get Delmise. Um, Ghost was. It's important to have a spin blocker on my team, and then I needed that grass typing as well. So Delmise fit that role pretty nicely. Thankfully, it didn't get taken. I think Decidueye got taken by Travis the round before. So I thought that might be something that people would get. Thankfully, Balfrey was the only one that I thought was going to take it, and he did not. So Delmise did make it back to me. Captain Carney has dropped anchor for the Sacred Fire once again. And Delmise is just a really cool Pokemon. I love that Pokemon ever since I saw it released. The the art is what I mean by that. Um, Grass Ghost, Ice Weakness, not really a big deal. It's slow, but it's really bulky. It hits decently hard. It has a decent move pool for what it looks like it might be, and then Steelworker that gives essentially gives it stab on steel moves, even though it's not a steel type. Really good. Anchor shot to trap things in. Potentially, how my team is working, trapping and removing, and forcing people to make plays that they don't want to make, is really the name of the game this season. And Delmise does a really good job with that. And it gets rapid spin, so I didn't have a rapid spinner at this point when I hadn't picked it up. And nice, very good. And then this is where I actually got sniped. So the round before, it made it back to me for Delmise plus Wheel, is I really wanted Diancie on the team. The fairy typing, the fairy and rock typing together was amazing. I liked it for its trick room ability to make Magearna more threatening. I liked it because it gave me another reliable stealth rocker. Diancie is clearly not as fast or as strong as Mega Diancie, but it still has very nice, capable offensive stats along with that defensive bulk. And then it's Diancie, which has decent coverage and support options as well. Trick Room I already mentioned. It also gets Heal Bell. So I thought that Diancie really fit well on the team. And plus, it gave me another bird check to help out Mewtwo and Scolipede. But unfortunately, several picks before me, one, two, three picks before me, Diancie did unfortunately go, kind of throwing my plan for a loop. In the sense that I need a replacement for that. I needed a way to control speed, basically. I didn't need a Trick Roomer. Like, I technically could have got the same typing and the same utility in the form of Carbink, but Carbink is shit, so we didn't get Carbink. um, Sorry, guys, for those of you who are rooting for Carbink, we did not actually get Carbink. We did end up with Smeargle. Smeargle, I love sticky webs. I love hazards. I've never used Smeargle in a draft format before, but I think that because, much like Mew, it does get a lot of different moves, we could find a use for it. And, Hazard Stack is always nice. It gets Magic Coat, which kind of deters opposing hazards. Gets Spore, which is reliable sleep, basically. And has that normal typing. That's the other thing. To help out with my Ghost weakness, I wanted a normal type. Unfortunately, it doesn't have that offensive response capability to Ghost, but it's still, it still persuades the opponent with the Ghost type to potentially not go for that Ghost move. So, it's there. We will make use of it. It does fit the offensive nature of our team pretty well in terms of support. Um, kind of slow. Not really too much can be said about the stats. It's more for hazard stack and just some unique utility options. All right, so that pretty much wrapped up the draft in the sense that everybody picked and most people had 10 mons. Now we get into the supplemental draft, which is basically everyone who drafted an Uber Mega because the Mega took place of their tier pick for that round. They got to pick one extra mon. So I think there was only about 5 teams that actually, qualified for that, but I was one of them. Um, I wanted the biggest thing I wanted was I wanted something that could take advantage of a potential sticky web or slower team, and then I wanted something with priority. Um, it's another fighting type. I'm not too sure how I feel about it right now, but it's a mod I've been wanting to try out. It has nice priority. It has good bulk. It has 3 fantastic abilities. It doesn't really have the role versatility that a lot of the other mods on my team have, but it's great at what it does, and that Pokemon is actually Conkeldurr. We have I haven't actually thought of a nickname for Conkeldurr or Smeargle yet, so stay tuned on those. But it is Conkeldurr. Like I said, I've really been wanting to try out Conkeldurr. I think that it has the natural bulk, it has the hitting power. It doesn't have the speed or the really the physical defense, but it has a lot of things it could do, and it has priority in Mach Punch. And Mach Punch is pretty solid priority, especially when looking at the other teams. Coverage-wise, Conkeldurr is through the roof like a fighting type. It gets a lot of different moves, and it gets um, 3 different abilities in Iron Fist, Guts, and Sheer Force, all of which can be used to its offensive advantage. So that for now, and I stress for now because I might be making some changes in either next week or the coming weeks, is the team. Really happy with it. Like I said, I think the not Mega Magirna, which is basically Mega Magirna because Mega Mewtwo and Magirna, but Mega Mewtwo X and Magirna are a really solid pairing offensively. I think those are going to be 2 big win cons for the team this season. And then we have really nice support options, plenty of hazards, plenty of fast speed tiers, plenty of momentum to take advantage of those speed tiers, and I'm really excited to see what's going to be going on this season. We do have a lot of good competition. I already mentioned Jolt and Trevor here. Obviously, I haven't played against those guys in quite a long time. I actually have a winning record against Trev. So hopefully that comes to shine. And you guys will be seeing more content in the coming weeks. When this is going up, which might actually be today or tomorrow, depends on when I'm actually recording this. But you guys will be seeing that week 1 starts. Week 1 technically starts on Sunday, which right now is 2 days away. Don't know when my opponent. I'll just go ahead and tell you guys now. Week 1 we were playing Jim and the Carolina Hurricanes. J Shadow, that is, because he actually has a YouTube channel now, which I'm proud of. But yeah, rematch of the season 2 championship. So we're looking for that. Jim has a powerful team. I have a powerful team. Hopefully, we can get a solid victory there. But as far as week 1 goes, that will be starting on Sunday, and then when the battle happens, which will probably be sometime within that next week, and then the week after, because we are on delayed uploads this season, so you guys are going to see the games essentially the week after they happen, but you'll see a team builder and the actual battle off of that. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed my draft analysis, if you liked my insight to why I picked what I did, what I chose, did I get sniped, did did it affect me, are we going to do good this season? Of course, the answer is yes. But leave a like, leave a comment if you so desire, and subscribe if you have not. Anyway, guys, I'm Stab, and I'm out of here.